everybody, SimsEclaire here and welcome back to my channel. So for today's video, we are doing another snow escape build. Please don't hate me. I know I said I was done, but I just had this really cool idea that I wanted to do. So my neighborhood that I live in, well not my neighborhood, but the downtown area of where I live is like this really small, tiny town, and all of the buildings are like connected. So you have hat shops connected to restaurants and comic book stores connected to like the local bars, just because that's how the streets are. And like all the buildings look the same except different, like they have different features but the same shape. And I kind of wanted to try and recreate something like that in The Sims. I've been wanting to do that for a while, like do a little downtown area with a couple of shops and a restaurant or something and just recreate it. And I had the idea to do it with this pack because as you guys know, I am playing with this pack. I'm doing a little bit of gameplay and I'm going to be sharing some of that on Twitter. And I wanted there to be a restaurant because none of the builds at the what are they called? The Game Changers did were restaurants. We had a lounge and a bar, but there wasn't like an actual restaurant, and I wanted a restaurant. And then I also thought, because we got all these cool things for like tea displays, I wanted to put like a tea shop in my game and then a bar, even though we already had a bar. But I thought bars and restaurants kind of go together with me, so I thought if I was doing a restaurant, I should probably have a bar somewhere as well. So I decided to just do that. This is a 3-lot build, technically. It is a tea shop, a restaurant, and a bar. Now, the restaurant and the bar are actually like internally connected as well, not just in the same block. So I kind of figured that it was a nicer restaurant, it was a little bit more formal, not necessarily just like your local dive, but then the bar connected to it wasn't as nice. So I figured if you were just going in for like a quick drink, you would go into the bar side, but if you were going in for like a nice dinner, you'd go in through the restaurant side. But they would be connected because that would be where the restaurant got all their alcohol and that would be where the bar patrons got their food from. It was just like a different type of vibe depending upon where you wanted to sit. And I kind of stole that from the restaurant that I work at. So they're not separated, but the restaurant that I work at, we have 3 like formal dining rooms and then a really large bar area. So it's kind of just like if you really just want to sit and watch your sports games or the news or something and drink, you can just sit in the bar. But if you're having a nice family dinner, then we have the dining rooms for you. So that was kind of what I was thinking. And neither the restaurant nor the bar are actually that big. The tea shop is actually the biggest. The tea shop is going to be the building on the left. And it's actually that little side building and the bigger one are actually the same building. It's just one large tea shop, but the tea displays are so big, I wanted to make sure I had enough space to do it. But right now we're just going through and I'm adding some details to the exterior. I've been having a lot of fun. I think that's why I like this pack so much, because I love doing exteriors for builds. I love making them look nice on the outside, and I think that this pack and this world just lends to more designed exteriors, if you know what I mean. They're not just, like plain suburban houses. You have all these wood accents and these features, and as you can see, I kind of did something new with the roofing on this one. Actually, I've been sticking with the traditional, Asian inspired roofs where they're a little dipped in the middle and then they come to a point. But for the restaurant, I actually thought it'd be cool. I took those tile pieces that we got with the game, the roof decorations, and I just flipped them around, and I kind of made them like rows along the top of the roof, and then I also drew some fencing on there too. So I thought that was kind of cool. It kind of broke up the 3 different buildings. And then I'm adding just some windows and stuff, and I do also end up adding a fire pit coffee table into the window of the restaurant, because you can't actually walk into that window. So I use that coffee table from City Living, and then I put a wall decal on it for like a restaurant sign. And so when the game is playing, if you turn on that fire pit, it'll actually like put fire in the window behind those wooden planks that I put up there and the decal that I end up adding. And I thought that was such a cool thing. It makes it just look like it's like a grill sitting behind the window. I thought that was a nice aesthetic. And then I'm adding some windows. So I wasn't 100% sure how I wanted to do these windows. I didn't want to cover that white strip on the restaurant, the one above where the wood paneling is, but I didn't want to like I don't know, I didn't want to obstruct the view of the wallpapers because these wallpapers that we got are actually extremely beautiful. And the issue is that like there's not a lot of interior decorations that came with this pack, so in order to fill up the walls you almost have to put a whole bunch of windows, but then it obstructs from the exterior wallpapers. So I was trying to find like a happy little medium. And then I do end up moving those windows though. Right now they're right behind the little lip, but as you can see here, I put a wall decoration up or a roof decoration to symbolize that that's a restaurant, and I end up moving the windows so they're not stuck behind that. And then on the interior, I just turned that place into like a little bit of a loft area. It looks down into the rest of the restaurant because the layout of the restaurant's a little weird. I personally probably would not like working in it because the kitchen is upstairs and the rest of the seating is downstairs. So, I mean, I'm not a server anymore, but if I was still a server, like having to walk up and down those stairs every time I had to deliver someone's food, I'd probably get a little annoyed. But in the debug menu, I found these really cool little chalkboard signs, and I was looking for just something extra because I felt like the front area of the build looked a little plain. So I was trying to just find a little something, and I did. I found these signs, and they come in a couple of different swatches and then different sizes as well. These are 2 of the 3 sizes. The other one is kind of like, it looks like they almost combined the 2 that I use, and it's just like a really long one. And then for the landscaping, I didn't want to do anything too crazy because we are in the middle of town. So I just do a couple of these little planter boxes, and I use the new fencing that we got and some of the new trees. In a lot of my builds, I haven't used these red trees because they are just so big. I mean, they're beautiful, and I really wish I'd used more of them, but they're just so big, and a lot of my builds were like smaller. So they covered up the entirety of the front of the build, and I didn't want to do that because in the gallery you don't get to pick your own pictures. So if you have a tree just like in the middle, then it'll just like cover it in the gallery, and I really didn't want that to happen. So I was trying not to use them, and even this one you saw I shrunk down quite a bit because that tree itself was huge. So you can kind of see off to the left here, there's a little bit of a patio area. That is going to be for both the bar and the restaurant because there isn't actually any seating inside the bar. There's just the bar top. So I figured if they got food or something, they would just take it outside and eat it outside. And I do actually end up liking how I decorate the outside, so I can't wait for you guys to see that one. But now we're just doing the back, and I do end up adding another one of those planter boxes. It's a super long one just because I got a little... I didn't really know how to fill up this space. In another kind of community area that I did, it was in Windenburg. It was my bookstore / bakery build, and the lot was too big and I had to kind of fill up some space, but there's fountains all over Windenburg, so I just kind of put like 3 fountains in the build, but this one doesn't have anything like that. I thought about adding some of the vending machines or even some of the food stalls, but since there's a restaurant here, I didn't really know how logical having a food stall would be, so I did decide just to add another one of these planter boxes, and it fills up the space rather nicely. I did go with the bamboo plants though, but in live mode, however you guys pronounce it, the bamboo trees will not show up. I don't know what it is. They're a debug item, and I don't know if it's because they're not supposed to be here, but I've had an issue where every build that I've used them on, they've disappeared in my screenshots. So in the screenshots, you will not see those trees, and when you download the house, I'm not 100% sure you'll see them either. I just want to let you guys know that. But anyway, going over here, we are on the left side. This is the tea shop. So I'm using these tea displays that we got, and then pretty much all of the decorations that we got from this pack. So I tried not to mix too many. I've been trying to do that since we got this pack. The only issue is that there isn't a lot of clutter in this pack, and yet it's a pack that came with all of the open shelving units. So I was having an issue with cluttering things up. So if it says that I've used like every single pack in the game, that is a lie. Well, it's not a lie, but it's just because of the clutter items. If I wasn't cluttering things up as much, then it would... The builds will still function. Let's put it that way. The builds will still function, and they'll still look aesthetically exactly the same. If you don't have all of the packs, it'll just be like little details. But obviously, in order for this build to work, you do need Get to Work and Dine Out, because it's a restaurant and a and a retail store. Unless you just want to run it as a bar, those are base games, and it does run. As I said, so this is my most ambitious build ever. This lot will run functionally as either a retail store, a bar or a restaurant. It will work as all three. I double checked, I triple checked. The only issue is that if you leave it on as a restaurant and you don't lock the doors to the tea side, customers from the restaurant will actually sit over here at those tables I put on the tea side. That's the only kind of faulty thing with it, but besides that, it runs perfectly fine. There's also, we're upstairs now, so above the tea shop is an apartment. And like I said, I was kind of inspired by the downtown area where I live, and like almost all of the buildings in the downtown area that I live have apartments upstairs, and they're all for like really cheap rent, because they're above, like noisy restaurants and noisy bars and stuff. But I figured that the owner of the tea shop definitely lived above it, and maybe even they owned the rest of this strip too. Like maybe they owned the bar and the restaurant, but I wasn't 100% sure about that one. But I definitely thought that they owned the tea shop downstairs. So I did just add this little apartment up here. So this lot will also function as a residential lot. So there you guys go, 4 in 1. I will never do this again. It was a lot. I kept having to change my thing at the top left corner to make sure I was doing all the right things, and I forgot that in order to run as a bar you need a TV somewhere, because I did not put a TV in this apartment, and that would have been the easiest place to put it, because then it wouldn't have messed with the aesthetics from the bar. But I don't actually mind where I end up putting it, so you guys will see that when we get to the bar. But over here we're just doing the bedroom for this apartment. I merged the love seat that we got with this pack in with the bed. I love the bed that we got, but I've used it in all of my builds, so I kind of wanted to give it a little bit of a different feeling. So I just used that pattern love seat just to bring in a little bit of a nice pattern. And then I used these pattern bamboo curtains as well, just to, again, bring in some color, bring in some pattern. And then we are about to switch over to the restaurant, I do believe. I think I just make a couple of last minute changes. And yeah, now here we are at the restaurant. So the interior of the restaurant's actually quite quaint. I do the hostess stand over here, and I always put a chair behind the hostess stand. The hostesses will not use it in the game, but we have one at work, and I just feel so bad if the hostess would have to stand there all day. But anyway, then I do a little bit of a nice decoration area up front, and then I try and figure out the layout. I really wanted to use this sign. I hadn't used it before, and I ended up using it inside, and then I also put it outside because I had this empty wall, and I figured that if they were coming from the bar and they were sitting outside, they wouldn't know what food was in the restaurant. So I figured that having it in both sides wouldn't really matter. And then I have a raised up level over here for like the more formal dining room. It does have tatami mat flooring, and again, I tried to do it in the right way. If it's not, please let me know and I will go in and change it. But I looked up different patterns and stuff, so hopefully it is not, very secretly disrespectful. But I'm just putting a couple of plants and some tables just to kind of fill in the space and make it look a little bit more decorative. And then I'm also adding these new speakers that we got, which I did not know we got new speakers until I saw them in the debug menu, because they weren't popping up under the speaker section. You either have to be under like retail or restaurant, or you have to go into the debug menu to find them. But they only play the Japanese folk station, and I put them in both the tea store and the restaurant, and I don't think I put them in the bar because the bar has the TV, so I think I was just gonna leave the TV on. But anyway, now we're into the bar, and I did do the bar before I finished the restaurant, and that was just because it was downstairs and I was in the middle of doing the downstairs, and I didn't want my camera to be moving up and down, up and down, up and down too much, so I did decide just to finish off the bar. And we got a full bar set with this pack. We got the backdrop and the actual bar itself, so I thought that was kind of cool. They take up a lot of space though, and I didn't realize how much space they take up when I built this place, or I would have added in a little bit more room for the bar, but it's okay, it's still functional. And then upstairs, so this is the upstairs of the restaurant, and it has the 2 bathrooms for the restaurant, and then it also has the kitchen area. And because there were so many tables, it doesn't look like there is inside, but I get like, I think 4 more tables outside. I did end up adding 2 chef stations, so they're like right next to each other. There's 2 dishwashers and 2 chef stations, so you will be able to have 2 cooks working here. And then I'm just saving just to be safe. My game only crashed once during this whole thing that's been going on with the game, but I didn't want to risk it, so I did decide just to go ahead and save a whole bunch of times, and I guess I just forgot to cut that one out. But now we're outside, and I wanted to use these new fireplaces that we got because I figured this world was very cold. Even if you don't have seasons, I mean, it's on the base of a mountain. So I did decide those tables will not function for the dine out purposes, but they're really cute. And I thought that it was a neat little idea to have tables sitting right next to the fireplace. And then I just add a couple more tables, but besides that, that is it for this build. So I hope you all enjoyed this one. If you did, please be sure to leave a like and subscribe to my channel, and I will see you all next time. Bye!